eMystery presents. This elderly lady was taken from her nursing home to jail, and people were outraged by her treatment. Before we begin, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. It's not every day that a 93-year-old woman is plucked from her nursing home and hauled off to jail, but that's exactly what happened to Juanita Fitzgerald, and the video of her removal outraged many of the people who watched. At the time of her apprehension in December 2017, Fitzgerald was a mere 100 pounds and stood at only 5 feet tall. She had spent the previous 6 years living at Franklin House, a retirement home in Eustis, Florida. And although Fitzgerald had cause to celebrate later that month, when she would turn 94, she also had a much more serious issue to deal with. The elderly woman had allegedly fallen behind on her rent at the nursing home. As a consequence then, she'd been evicted. Fitzgerald lived alone in the Sunshine State though, and didn't have any loved ones in the area to lean on. "I don't have anybody," she said to CBS affiliate WKMG-TV. "My family is in Tennessee, and I told them not to tell my son anything that's going on." Nevertheless, National Church Residences, the firm that owned Franklin House, attempted to contact Fitzgerald's family. Karen Twinham, who worked for the National Church Residences, said that the company had also approached a number of agencies in order to help the 93-year-old make her rent. In addition, Twinham alleged that Fitzgerald had given an explanation for her reported lack of payments. Supposedly, the nonagenarian informed Franklin House employees that she didn't want to pay rent because she assumed she would die soon. Fitzgerald refuted that allegation though, claiming instead that she had attempted to pay her rent in October 2017. However, her back and forth with the nursing home would eventually come to a screeching halt in December of that year. At that time, local police officers arrived at Franklin House to take Fitzgerald away on a trespassing charge, but the 93-year-old wouldn't listen to their commands, according to the deputies on the scene. Reportedly, an affidavit on the matter described Fitzgerald as saying, "Unless you carry me out of here, I'm not going anywhere." So the responding officers did what they had to do. They attempted to escort her out of the nursing home. At that point though, Fitzgerald allegedly slid from her seat to make the task harder for the officials. Furthermore, the officers claimed that Fitzgerald began to resist when they attempted to lift her up, and their body cameras captured what happened next. The cops physically removed Fitzgerald from the building, with the 93-year-old audibly protesting against their actions. Throughout the video footage of her apprehension, Fitzgerald is heard making exclamations such as "ow" and "no." She is also captured telling officers, "You're hurting me." While witnesses look on though, the deputies respond to her noisy protestations. At first, the officers say that they hadn't put any pressure on the 93-year-old's frame. They also tell her as she protests that they tried to convince Fitzgerald to simply leave on her own accord. In addition, one of the law enforcement officers states, "We don't want to hurt you." But the body cam may have also recorded one of the cops protesting about Fitzgerald's behavior, as one officer is heard saying, "Don't scratch me," presumably to the 93-year-old. And then finally, the police are able to place the senior into the back of a squad car. After her arrest, Fitzgerald was charged with trespassing and sent to Lake County Jail. Then, although she faced a $500 bail charge, the elderly woman was released on the condition that she would appear at a future court summons. However, during the time between her arrest and subsequent release, Fitzgerald's story caused somewhat of a furor on the internet, and it wasn't because she had skipped out on her rent. Rather, it was due to the way in which the officers had arrested the 93-year-old. Commenter Rose S., who read Fitzgerald's story on the Daily Mail website, wrote, for example, "The home care should have called in a social worker to handle her housing issues, not the cops, and the cops needed better training and education on dealing with the elderly." Twitter user Elizabeth R. added in response to a tweet featuring video footage of the arrest, "This is deplorable. I guess a 93-year-old is supposed to work at McDonald's to pay her rent? I hope someone can help this sweetheart." And indeed, aid groups did step in to attempt to assist Fitzgerald. However, Fitzgerald told WKMG-TV that she'd be likely to turn down any donation she received as well as any money. Instead, she said all she needed was a small room. In the meantime, she was staying at a Tavares, Florida hotel. In addition, Fitzgerald wanted her possessions returned to her from her old dwelling. Even so, the nonagenarian insisted she could probably get some more clothes on her own. She added to WKMG-TV, "I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for God." But although it's unclear whether or not Fitzgerald ever accepted help, she did nevertheless receive a word of good news from the courts in the end. A few days after she was released on bail, the trespassing charge against her was dropped. Thanks for watching another heartwarming video. Please check out our channel for more stories that will make your heart melt.